My journalism teacher once told me that journalism is the first draft of history. At the time, I didn't understand. I didn't understand how my 300-word article about the club fair could be history. But 3 years and 30-plus articles later, I've begun to figure it out. Journalism is defined as the act or profession of writing for a newspaper, magazine, online publication, or for broadcast. But in practice, it is so much more. Journalism is the art of storytelling, of teaching, and of learning. Journalism is a search for truth. The 2018 Time Person of the Year, a prestigious award that has been given to Gandhi, Winston Churchill, Queen Elizabeth, and every sitting president, was this year awarded to the Guardians. This group was made up of a columnist who was murdered, 2 reporters who were convicted after investigating a crisis in their country, an editor who was jailed after allegedly spreading falsified news, and a publication that fell victim to a mass shooting. Time magazine honored them because they are the guardians of the war on truth. However, they're not the only ones fighting this war. The Optimist, Pioneer High School, the Emory, Huron High School, the Communicator, Community High School. High school journalists across the country fight for the same rights that professional journalists do. I've been a part of the community high school publication, The Communicator, for the past 3 years. I started as a timid writer and am now one of the editor-in-chiefs. Within every writer and within every publication, there are articles that have helped make a difference. Let me share with you some of mine. The first article I ever wrote was bad. I can confidently stand here today and say so, but at the time I was extremely proud of it. In 2016, the Skyline football team had 2 girls on their team, Isabel Crum and Camber Zeisler. I had a 10-minute interview with them right up there in the Skyline Commons. In the end, the article was merely 500 words and was definitely grammatically incorrect. But it taught me how to connect with people and how to tell a story. And for those reasons, it is one of the most important articles I've ever written. My journalistic field, per se, expanded from the Skyline football field to the 2016 presidential election in a matter of months. Just like any national publication, The Communicator reached out to the Clinton campaign and were granted press passes to their rally in Detroit. I was taking photos that day and was stationed alphabetically between CNN and Detroit News. This was the first time I ever realized that journalists were not divided by age or by experience, and that we all had equal opportunity to tell stories that matter. This notion of no article being too big to cover came to light again this school year. In 2016, Lourdes Salazar Bautista and her family were deported from Ann Arbor, Michigan to Toluca, Mexico. We thought this was an important story, but so did the Washington Post. In April 2018, they told the story Lulu's Choice. Since Lourdes was born and raised here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, she had the choice of whether to live in Mexico with her family or to live here in Ann Arbor. Here in Ann Arbor, where we went to the same elementary, middle, and high school. Here in Ann Arbor, where we played on the same soccer team growing up. She had the decision if she wanted to live in Ann Arbor, the place she grew up, or in Mexico with her family. However, this article left out a fundamental part. They never told you what her decision was. After 14 months of living in Mexico with her family, Lourdes decided to move back to Ann Arbor, and that is the article The Communicator told. It was called A Long Way Home. The story of Lourdes and her journey from Michigan to Mexico and back to Michigan was important, and we knew our community cared about this, so we told it. Afterwards, Lourdes and her family told us we were grateful that we did. More recently, however, articles have made direct impacts in our community. In February, another Communicator journalist and a close friend of mine wrote an article highlighting the gentrification of Ann Arbor's West Side, more commonly known as the Water Hill neighborhood. This article, in a matter of months, received thousands of views online and is already one of the top 5 trending articles in our website since 2015. Since this article has been published, people have shared their experiences with racial inequalities and with gentrification in the greater Ann Arbor area. On March 9th, exactly 1 month after this article was posted, the Water Hill Music Festival was canceled. The founders said it was due to personal priorities. Though it cannot be claimed that this article led to the cancellation of the music festival, it'd be naive to think it didn't play a part, even if just a small one, in doing so. Journalism can change lives. In my 17 years of being alive, I can honestly say I've experienced a lot of things, but in no way have I experienced them all. I've never played high school football, I've never ran for president, I've never been deported, nor is my neighborhood currently being gentrified. But through journalism, I've learned lessons from people that have experienced these things. And in practicing journalism at such an impressionable age, the lifelong skills of compassion and communication are ingrained within us. And that is why I'm a strong believer that all high schools need to have high school journalism programs and that these programs need to be supported. Journalists and journalism have been under attack since the beginning of the free press. However, never more so in America than today. President Trump called the press a, quote, enemy of the people in a tweet in February 2017, October 2018, and again in February 2019. It is unprecedented for a president to openly criticize the media. The last president to do so was Richard Nixon just months before he was impeached. When people consider hard-hitting journalism as fake news, they lose trust in one of the cornerstones of our democracy. Journalism is not a crime, and it is more important now than ever. Journalists, especially high school journalists, are the storytellers of today, but the history makers of tomorrow. Thank you.